So we just got out of a reading with Anna. We went to Butterfly Insights in Joplin, Missouri. It was actually an amazing reading for you, Anna. So I guess you want to talk about the start of your spiritual journey then?
Yes. A long time that I've been like not letting it come into me. Like I need to let it in, start exploring those options.
So you've kind of been almost ignoring the call because you've been either so busy or even frightened of it?
Yes.
Well, with this reading that we just got, that Anna just got, it really said that now is the time to make an altar, specifically for the ancestors or for the higher power, whatever you feel a calling to, Anna, so that you can really start into that spiritual awakening. So how do you feel about that? Do you want to make an altar, or are you wanting to slow down a little bit? Like she was saying, you don't have to have a specific desk for an altar. You know what I mean? You don't have to have anything specific like that. You could have an altar on the top of your dresser, or on your windowsill, or you could even have an altar on the floor, assuming you don't have an animal to run over it. You know what I mean? I couldn't do that, but
yeah, I think the calling is, exploring these new opportunities, even if though I'm overthinking it or having these anxiety thoughts. I think I have potential to grow as an individual, but also explore my own psychic abilities, especially my healing powers.
Oh, you should have asked about that. Your healing abilities.
We can always come back another time.
Absolutely, because that is actually her gift. Is she's a healer, which is why she does Reiki and crystal healings and readings. So I feel like you would probably really connect and have a good conversation with her, as opposed to for me, my gift is more the cards and speaking to the spirits, less healing, whereas hers is more healing.
Yeah, you're more connected to both the worlds.
Yes.
Like a telephone.
Yes, exactly, or ghost whisperer, for lack of a better word. But
I seen Ghost Whisperer, that TV show. I love that TV show.
I do love that TV show. So I highly recommend creating an altar. I really do. I think it would be a good time for you. You don't have to do much with an altar unless you want to. So when I say that, I mean you can set up a pretty space, and then you can light an incense occasionally. Or if you don't like incense, you can, stop by your altar, speak for a moment, and go on about your day. It's not something that you have to put so much time and energy into it that it feels exhausting and that it feels more like a chore. It's more like a spiritual place, where you can go. You can
some type of passion.
It's a place where you can go and you can cast spells if you want to. Is that something you're interested in, casting spells, or are you more just focusing on your gifts?
My gifts, because I do feel like I have healing capabilities. If I can get honed into it, maybe I can produce some type of product like herbs, or I can use oils, or use my own psychic abilities to calm someone down.
Yeah. And these are all really good things to have, especially in today's world. You know what I mean? We don't know where the world is going to be. I'm pulling to a stop, but we don't know where the world is going to be in 4 years. We don't know what's going to happen. So it's always great to have our healers around, If something were to happen, one of the most important things, or the most important people, would be our healers. Because if someone gets hurt, we need someone to heal them,
So, for people that are starting off on their spiritual awakening, what do you believe would be the steps to, get started?
Reading up on what you feel. I know it sucks, and if you don't want to read, you can listen to an audiobook, or you can, like Laura had said previously, I know this is going to sound ridiculous, but YouTube is a great platform because
Right.
it allows so many people to connect spiritually. You can, you got to be careful with what you find online because anybody can post anything online. And it's not always legit. But you can find some really legit information. And like I said, if you don't like reading about it, then you can listen to it, or you can listen to another person. There's different podcasts that you can listen to. But the best thing to do when starting your spiritual journey, and I guess some people would disagree with me, so let me let me finish what I was saying before like everybody jumps to conclusions, is learn as much as you can. Now, some people say, I don't believe in following books. I don't believe in following other people and their belief. Just because it's their belief doesn't mean it's mine. Well, if you are one of those people, then forget what I said and follow your intuition. What is your gut telling you?
That's why I like when you came with me, because you know me.
Yeah.
She doesn't.
Yeah.
And when she did my reading, she connected the dots the way I thought to, even though I was kind of scared.
Yeah. So I really think the good advice that this person gave is not only creating the altar, but also opening your heart and your crown chakra. So your crown chakra is at the top right here.
So like the third eye.
The third eye is right here, and then the crown is right above. The third eye and the crown are very similar in the sense that they both connect with your divine. So this is saying basically you need to open your eye. You need to open that third eye. You need to open that otherworldly chakra so that you can start accepting and receiving the messages that are being sent your way. Now, it is scary at first.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. It's actually quite scary at first. But that's because anything otherworldly, when we're not used to it, is scary. So, people are scared of ghosts for a reason. And people are scared of the other world for a reason. It's because we don't know what to expect. And a lot of times we can't physically see what's there. So really what that fear is the fear of the unknown.
Right. I think that's also my issue too. Is like, I want to know all these knowledge and stuff like that, but it's impossible, kind of in a way. But when you got your first awakening, what happened in your life? Well, like, what was your experience?
So for me, the first major tower moment, or the most major spiritual awakening, because we all go through minor spiritual awakenings and great changes. I think I have an idea what yours is, but for me was my first... Okay, so hold on. I have two. I'm going to have to talk about two. The first one was moving out of my parents' house. I moved out of my parents' house, and it wasn't the best way. I was fighting with my mother and my father. I didn't have a car at the time. It was a very toxic situation, and I had to leave. So what I ended up doing was I went in there after a fight, and I said, okay, I'm moving out. I'm moving out by the end of the week. See ya. And they were kind of shocked, I think, that I finally was like, okay, I've had enough. But I did, and instead of waiting until the end of the week, I moved out the next day because they wanted to fight about it, and I was just over the toxicity of the situation.
That is a big change.
And yeah, it was, because the person that I moved in with was also a very spiritual person. So when I moved in with this person, it was a huge awakening spiritually, because neither of us had a job. Look, I didn't say it was a good idea. Neither of us had a job. So a lot of our time was spent studying our spirituality, smoking a lot of weed, of course, and talking about our spirituality and studying our spirituality. So because of that, and because I had the ability to put that time into it, and I only lived with her, I think, for maybe a month. you know. That whole month was just spent learning and getting to know myself spiritually and figuring out what I wanted and where I was going to go. So that was my first major. And also during that time, I didn't meet my husband. I reconnected with my husband, who was my high school sweetheart. My second major awakening was 5 or 6 years later. I think it was about 5. I lost my first pregnancy. I had a molar pregnancy. So it wasn't even a miscarriage. A molar pregnancy is when a cancerous tumor forms instead of a baby. When a dead sperm meets a dead egg, or a sperm meets a dead egg. And it does create something, but it doesn't create a baby. It creates a tumor that can be cancer. So I had to have that removed, the tumor removed. There was no heartbeat. It was no baby. It was a tumor, which is very upsetting because it's a rare form of pregnancy like cancer. Okay, so it mimics all of the symptoms of a pregnancy. You have the morning sickness. You have the mood swings. You have your body, because this tumor is in your uterus and it was created via sperm meeting an egg, thinks that it is pregnant. So, you just coming to terms with the fact that while my entire pregnancy at that point, I was only 8 weeks. I was very lucky to have gotten it so early. Some women go so far as to be 12 weeks and up before realizing that's what it is, because it is such a thing that just mimics pregnancy. Anyway, I had to have that removed, and then for the next year I had to continue to go in weekly for blood draws to make sure that the tumor did not cause cancer growth in my uterus. So for that year, I took off work. I was married at the time, and my husband was very understanding, and he was like, I could physically work, but mentally I was so fucked up. You guys don't even understand. Like, I was smoking 4 or 5 bowls of weed a day. I was spending upwards of $200 every 2 weeks on weed, because that was my coping mechanism. I don't smoke much now, maybe occasionally, but at that point it was so fucked up. I even vlogged a little bit, which I don't think I'll ever show anybody those vlogs, because it's not necessarily embarrassing, it's just so raw. I'm gonna hit a break. It's just so raw and real.
Do you have a guess of what my awakening is?
Yeah, I do. I think it was when what's his name left.
Oh, my ex.
Your ex, I do. I think that, or I guess I don't think he didn't just leave, but I mean when you got out of that situation, I think that maybe you've had a little bit of the start of an awakening previously, but him and that situation and you getting out of that situation, I think is what really pushed it forward. It was the final push into that awakening.
With that relationship, it was very difficult because it was negative all the time. He was always negative. So it was blocking a lot of my positive energy. And the last time I was in a situation with them, I disassociated so badly that it kind of snapped me out of reality.
And then
when I snapped back, I was a totally different person, in my opinion.
And I think maybe that's when that awakening really pushed through, because I really agree with what Laura, the reader, was saying, which is that you are at this stage in life now that it's time to focus on your spirituality, on your gifts, on your what are you going to do? Like, do you feel a calling to a specific god or goddess? Do you feel a calling to the ancestors? Who is talking to you right now? Because somebody is.
I don't know, because I keep seeing angel numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing angel numbers for years now.
Well, that's because I think you've had that start of the awakening. You just needed that final push with him leaving. You know what I mean?
But now I'm in a better place.
Mm-hmm. That you can actually, accept it. You know what I mean?
I think it also helps when you have a partner that's actually accepting.
Mm-hmm.
Not just, physically, but, mentally.
Mm-hmm.
That's a game changer.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I know that you had discussed wanting to, with this podcast, that's what this is, right? Podcast?
Yes.
Wanting to talk about your spiritual journey as you go into it, you got a deck of cards now, which is really fun and exciting.
I just have to actually sit down and really get into it.
It's more than just reading the cards, it's more than just, I'm gonna come to us, it's deeper than that. Of course, cards are all fun and exciting, and we want the tools, we want the crystals, we want the the pretty things, right? But I've seen something, and I know lots of people say this: a witch only needs their hands. The hands are the most exciting, are the most in-depth tools. Everything else, the cards, the crystals, the wands, are just an extension of you.
What I really want to do is use my spiritual side be expressed through my artwork.
Absolutely, you can.
I think that would be a good way to express it more on a physical base, because you could just tell people, oh, you've been through this, this, and this, and that's just my experience with awakening. But people need those visual aids to oh, really, this person went through that? I could tell through this painting or something like
exactly, that. Yes. It's a good way to express yourself and release that pent-up energy. Because if you think about it, the paintbrush is kind of a wand.
That's true.
It really is. You're releasing that energy through your hand, from your hand. Once again, our best tool, right? Through the wood or whatever of the paintbrush onto the paper, and you're putting that energy into it, and you're releasing it. I would definitely say that a paintbrush is a wand.
And I could put my healing abilities within the painting, so when someone buys it and hangs it up in their place, they can always have that positive healing energy around their place.
You could do that with anything. You could do that with prosperity energy, abundance energy, cleansing energy, like you said, healing energy. Putting all that energy into the painting and then hanging it up that's a fantastic idea.
And I also want to help other people with their spiritual awakening, be their guide, like what you're doing with me. You call it apprentice, right?
A mentor. That's ultimately the goal. We're all here to learn as much as we can. And then once we get to either a certain age or a certain aspect in our spirituality, then we have the ability to share and help others. We just have to work really hard to get to that point,
So this will be the first episode. We'll probably get more going on. If you want to stay tuned, you can always and comment, subscribe, and then later on, if you have any questions, leave it down in the comments and then we'll get back to you.